Hello, welcome back to the Mr. Arsenal podcast for another podcast this week. This time we're previewing tomorrow night's game. As you can see, I'm joined by Steve and Andrew and Panel Newbie. Keith, how are you doing, guys?
All right, mate. Thank you. How are you? How's everyone else?
Doing all right.
Good, thank you.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know about you guys. I'm not after what we've seen on Monday. I'm not looking forward to tomorrow night. I'm really not. I'm scared. I can't believe I'm saying, but I'm actually scared of Aston Villa coming to us and doing us again. But we'll start with you, Keith. Obviously, you haven't been on the channel before, so there's a chance to give your thoughts across, and not just Arteta and the club and what's going wrong there, with Cronkies and all that, but also your thoughts on tomorrow night's game and what happened on Monday.
Yeah. Firstly, cheers for having us on. I appreciate that. Right, Monday. I put a tweet out and I did like a short video. I think it was Tuesday afternoon, and it just seems like for years and years now, we start well and we'll get ourselves ahead, and then all of a sudden it becomes a bit of a training exercise, and then we go off the boil, and then we kind of kick on again when we need to, i.e. when we go behind. And I find that really, really, really frustrating. And it was the other night. You know, you look at the teams on paper. We should have. If we'd have carried on the way we started first 8, 9, 10 minutes, we should have blown them away. But we let them get a foothold in the game. Can't still decide whether it was that they came back in particularly well, or if we allowed them to. It's a bit of an odd one, really. I mean, regarding my feelings about obviously got love for the club, there's no denying that. But you look at the owners; they've kind of curried favour a little bit in the summer because they've spent more than anybody else did in the summer. I think they were probably aware that they needed to after the demonstrations. They kind of needed to get us lot back on side to a certain extent, and they did back Arteta with what he wanted to do. Regarding his tenure, I've got splinters in my bum. I have done all the time. I'm not the sort of guy who would be screaming for the manager to be out unless it got really, really bad and we were literally staring at relegation. That's kind of not the way I am, I suppose. But I don't think he's going anywhere anytime soon, because I don't think they'd have invested in so many young signings, such a young squad, if they were going to. I'd said at the start of the season, I'll give him until Christmas, and if I don't see any massive improvements, then I think it's time to go. But I think he'll at least get the season, if I'm being entirely honest. And that's not, if we continue down the road we have done in the last couple of games, then obviously we're going to drop down the league and the pressure's going to be back on again. But I was always as much Arteta in, I suppose, as anyone could be. And I wavered after the first leg against Villarreal when he went with the false 9, like something he'd never ever tried before. Obviously, he'd seen it at City. But I wavered in quite a big way then. Then we finished the season well. I think we won 5 on the bounce, was it, in the league? And then with the new signings coming in, particularly the Spurs game, I was really impressed, and I have been impressed with the new signings. But we've gone off the boil, and I tried not to get too carried away with the Spurs result, because I think for every bit as good we were in the first half, they were also shockingly poor. So in the second half, we sat off, which I suppose you'd expect doing 3-0 up. But last 2 games, not been impressed at all, to be perfectly honest.
Talk about last night on Andrew's channel as well, because obviously Arteta's come out after the match in his interviews and said he's saying he didn't tell the players to do what they did against Palace, right? So if that's the case, and he's as we all know, he's on the touchline 24/7 pretty much, barking orders, and if they're not listening to him, isn't that concerning going forward? The club are looking to give him a full season again.
Yeah, massively. And it's not the first time we've heard it. I think the first time I heard it was the 3-3 against West Ham last season.
Lacazette actually came out and said,
if the players aren't carrying out your instructions, a one-off, all right, fair enough. But it ain't the first time that that we've seen him say it, and that for me is a massive concern. Really, really big concern.
And Steve, how you been? Obviously, you was away on Tuesday.
Yeah. Obviously, relocated out of the garage bar now because it's getting a bit cold outside. So
How was
house now? So
how was Gone with the Wind, Steve? How was Gone with the Wind to go with?
Well, it's supposed to be James Bond, but as it turned out, we didn't actually go because the missus wasn't too well in the end. So we got two tickets we couldn't use. So I'm still got to watch it. But yeah, I think Keith sort of summed it up really. I mean, we seem to be playing in phases, don't we? I mean, first 15 minutes, last 15 minutes, that's when we were sort of at it. The rest of the game, we just sort of let Palace have the ball, really. We didn't really threaten or try to take the game to them. We got the goal and then we took our foot off the gas. And don't know if it's a fitness issue. They can't play for 90 minutes or what. But, I mean, if you sum up all our good sessions over the last, 8 games, it probably doesn't add up to 90 minutes, does it? Really? I mean, obviously, when Martinelli came on and Lacazette came on, it sort of upped the pace a bit. You know, we got the equaliser. So, you know, but we're not going to get very far just playing like that. I mean, Villa will be another, you know, really tough game. And if we don't play at the tempo we need to play at, they'll probably turn us over, to be fair. You know, because, you know, I'm hearing a couple of injuries have crept into the team for the weekend. We don't have a lot behind us, do we? So it's going to be another tough game. But we've got to perform for the whole match, not, you know, 20 minutes.
Yeah. I don't. Well, I've seen nothing in Arsenal that would tell me that that's ever going to happen. You know, that we're going to be really piling on the pressure for any more than about 15 to 20 minutes at a time, because I think that's about the limit that we've seen. Well, in the last couple of years at least. Well, if you take that back to the time we're under Unai Emery as well. I mean, I'm sick to death of it, to be honest with you. We can't seem to put any more pressure on. Like I say, I think that's about our limit, about 15 to 20 minutes of attacking football. You think that everything's turned around, and then all of a sudden it stops. We start dropping back, and you think, oh God, I've seen this before, you know, and that's the way it goes. And I just don't understand why that happens. I really don't. If he's openly saying, which he is, we've all heard it with our own ears after the match the other night, that he didn't want that to happen. But he's telling them what to do, pass by pass on the side of the pitch. Then where's that communication breaking down? You know, are they just blatantly ignoring him? Can they not understand what they're supposed to do? Is it too complicated? All this continuous, like switching from a back 3 to a back 4 during the game. Is it too complicated for them to carry out? God knows, but it's really, really worrying. It's you know, if he can't get them to play the way he wants to play within a shorter space of time, then he's obviously not quite getting it right on the coaching, you know, during training, because we've seen Vieira be able to turn around that team within 8 games at Crystal Palace with a complete squad turnover and a completely different style and brand of football. He's somehow managed to get his team to fully understand what he wants and get them playing in a competent way within 8 games. And that's without his 2 best players in Eze and Zaha. So if he can do it with 8 games, why can't Arteta do it within 2 years nearly? It's getting up to 2 years now.
It's been 2 months as we speak.
Yeah. So where is it going wrong?
It's a mental issue, doesn't it? I mean, they're obviously skillful players. They're obviously good footballers, aren't they? But they're just mentally not strong enough, perhaps. Or
he's just not able to teach them the way he wants to play football in a competent enough way. But I can't get that through my head either, because everyone speaks really highly of him. All of the players do, don't they? They always speak really highly of him. There's a breakdown there somewhere.
Lots of things like, you know, Tierney's gone backwards. Partey, I don't know what the deal is with Partey, he's nowhere near the level I thought he would be. You know, and he's it's starting to run through the team, isn't it? You just think, well, you know, if the better players are not playing to their level, then where's that going to end? You know, 2 mistakes cost us 2 goals. You know, and that's going to continue to happen, isn't it? Really.
I mean, have you seen a player drastically improve under Arteta? I haven't.
Well,
I mean,
everyone,
yeah,
but
but
aside, no.
I don't think that he's specifically improved them either, because they are just quality players. And the fact that in Saka's case, I think he's getting worse lately. People have said have quite happily to make excuses for him because he's been through a tough season last season. He tailed off towards the end of last season. Let's be honest. He then went to the Euros, and now people are blaming his form in the for us at the start of this season on him having gone to the Euros and having a difficult time. It's easy to make these excuses all the time for players that you love. We all love him, and I love him. But you have to face facts that he's not been at his best this season. I mean, apart from the Spurs game where everyone upped their game for that 30 minutes, can you be honest and say that he's been playing really well this season, Saka? I mean, and we have to say that he wasn't playing well at the end of last season either, because if you remember, the 5 games we played and we won at the end of last season that you mentioned earlier, it was Pepe's that took over those games. He scored a load of goals in those games and just came alive, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
I think you can count through the entire squad and say there's hardly any of them that are actually playing to anywhere near their potential. And you can see players getting worse in front of your eyes as each week goes by. And you've mentioned Thomas Partey. That's a massive one. He was a world-class player when we bought him, a world-class midfielder. And now he is looking a pale shadow of his former self. And I know that again,
isn't he? Really?
Yeah, and you can make excuses again, like we do. We'd love to make excuses for players that we really like, you know, and say that he had a really injury-hit season last year, which is true. But when he came back, he hasn't come back to anywhere near his quality that we know that he can play. And it keeps going week after week. And when is the last time he finished 90 minutes? You know, I think he did it once this year, didn't he? Once.
Yeah. We started to talk about his form. Obviously, it's pre-season. We started to see the sort of the Thomas Partey we looked like we were getting excited for, like this time last year, and then he got injured, like you say, and then he's come back, and then Xhaka's got injured. So he's now been the experienced player in a pivot, by the way, because that's what Arteta wants to go for. And obviously, he's having to do his job and know at the same time coach the Congo, to coach help have someone like Odegaard drop back and who's not experiencing that role and things like that. So he's having to take them two players' jobs this season. So that's not helping either. But again, this is with that. That's on the club's fault then, because they had a summer. Well, yes, they brought Lukonga in, and for the future, he looks like a great prospect. We thought Granit was going. He stayed, but we still needed to upgrade in that midfield. And I think we should have gone and got a better midfielder than what we had to go alongside him. That hasn't got a massive injury record that we can trust. It's a slot scene that knows Premier League off by heart, but we didn't do that.
So, can I say one thing just while you're on that subject? We as a club completely ruined Lucas Torreira as a player by playing him out of position.
Even then,
as well,
I would have happily gave him let the club give him another chance, because he actually said, I want to stay now. I want to prove myself. Obviously, last year he lost his mum and COVID and that. He's had a U-turn and wanted to leave fully. He wanted to stay. He's come out and begged to stay, and he got told where to stick it. And I think maybe again that's a partnership we'll never see and don't know if that would work or not. Him and Torreira and Partey alongside.
We had a really good player there.
Torreira was, I mean, everybody got excited when we signed Torreira, didn't we? But it didn't take long for him to really turn into a different player.
Yeah, well, it didn't help when Unai Emery played him in the number 10 for some bizarre reason. No, and that's just completely ruined his confidence. He never recovered from that confidence.
Yeah, but now we're doing a similar thing to Thomas Partey, because he is not a deep-lying midfielder, as everyone knows. He's a complete box-to-box midfielder. We're tasking him with completely shielding the back four most of the time on his own. Let's be honest, because the times he's played alongside Xhaka, it's looked at quite a positive partnership there. But as soon as we get the chance to actually start the season and get them playing together regularly, bloody Xhaka goes and gets injured really unluckily, and that's out the window for the next 3 months. So what does he do? Instead of trying to change things to accommodate the players that he has, he tries to shove players into positions that they hate playing in and they're not used to playing in. Like Erdegaard, putting him next to Thomas Partey in deep, and there's the double pivot deep. I mean, it's just ridiculous because A, Partey shouldn't be there either to start off with. B, you completely negated all of the quality that the reason we bought Erdegaard for by leaving him out from being the link player between the attack and the midfield. You're dropping him back, and he's ending up looking crap. You know, everyone's saying, God, he's looking shocking. And that's because we're playing him in a completely alien position to him, making him look bad. And he's going to continuously lose confidence each time he's asked to play that role. So it's going to take him ages to get back to how he was before, because obviously, like we all know, what's that saying that Arsene Wenger said? It's easy to confidence goes down. I can't remember what's that phrase. And it's easy to lose the confidence, but very hard to get it back, sort of thing. Yeah. So we continuously do this. Ask players to play out of position, and yeah, it's really driving me mad, to be honest. Because I said this yesterday, you know, I'm so apologise for repeating myself, but if you haven't got defensive midfielders, you can't play with defensive midfielders. You can't make players that aren't defensive midfielders into them just by playing them in that role, in that position on the pitch. If you haven't got them, do something else and work to your players' strengths. And he doesn't seem to have that in him to do that.
And also, touching on that, when Wenger used to do that near the end of his time, when there was an injury or whatever, he'd play in out of position. He'll be getting slated by the media. He'll be getting slated by the fan base for doing it, even if it worked or not. When the lines come out like, what? Why's Ramsey out the wing? Whatever. But Arteta's getting away with it from the media perspective anyway. It's getting there's sort of a, I don't know, but it doesn't sit right to me. Like the special treatment all of a sudden just because he's new and this is his first job. Don't want to put too much pressure on this. It just does my head in. And Shane's asking in the chat, if Freddie stayed on as manager, would we be playing better now than what we're seeing under Arteta besides the FA Cup? Everything else hurts. I don't know. That's the thing we don't know because again with Freddie, he asked for staff for the meantime. He never got it. He was never back, so he never got. So with that, the players thought, "Fuck it, we're not bothering anyway." So things continued the way they continued after him until Mikel came in, and people wonder why Freddie 6 months later up sticks and left and hasn't looked back. He's not on his knees coming back again because he's disappeared before and gone off to Wolfsburg or something like that before a couple of years back.
Yeah,
and he came back to coach under 23s. I think there's an argument to say yes because you could say he's got experience as a head coach.
It couldn't be any worse, could it?
But he had experience. It couldn't be any worse. The likes of Saka, Smith, he knew, and they knew him, and they had a good relationship with him. And because he was part of that generation of Arsenal players that knew what it meant to play for the badge, win things, this, that, and never beaten, knew what it meant to walk on that pitch no matter who we were playing, not just Tottenham. You could argue possibly we could be slightly, but you don't know because he's got more experience than what Arteta has.
I wish he'd been looked after a bit more when he took over. I mean, he literally had the club doctor doing the warm-ups on the pitch, didn't he? The club's the medical staff. I think he had the tea lady running the line at one match. I mean, it was just that bad. So, I mean, if he had got looked after properly and he had proper staff, it would have been lovely to see what he could have done. Because I say that there's one player that really had heart. You know, he really played with his heart. That guy, Freddie Ljungberg, he would run himself into the ground. He was a real team player, and I would have loved to have seen what he could have done over a bit of a longer period of time. To be honest with you, but we'll never know whether we could be better. But I think we can't be playing worse football under him. Surely we can't be playing worse football if it had carried on, because the football is as dull as dishwater. Let's be honest.
Yeah, it's pretty uninspiring, to be honest. I think, like everyone said, it's kind of the impossible question to answer if Freddie could have done a better job, because, just didn't see enough of him in charge. He inherited the crap that Emery had left behind. And, we all know about the toxicity that existed in the dressing room. A lot of that is now gone. But yeah, I personally would have liked to have seen him stop longer and be treated better. Because to see him not part of the club now, as everyone's said, he's part of those successful years. He understands what's required. He understands what it was like in training when players were coming to blows because it just meant that much. And I think it's a really big loss. I think they made a mistake there.
Yeah, me too.
I think if you look at that game, the Palace game, I think if you swap the two managers, we win that game, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because I think with Arteta, I'm not an Arteta out per se, but the longer it goes on with no improvement, you can't keep fighting his corner, can you? Really? At some point, something's got to give. And if we're sort of in the same sort of position come Christmas, where are we? We're not going forward, are we? Players are, we're going to lose players in January, so that's going to put us on the back foot even more. Well, we should be challenging for Europe. We're not nowhere near it the way we're going.
No, well, look, I mean, he's had a big enough stint at the club now to be able to judge him. Obviously, he has.
He got longer than what Emery got.
Well, exactly, and we've got no sign whatsoever that anything is going to improve, because it's really consistent about what he's been doing at the club. And whenever we have a really good spell, that's only to make up for the crap spell we've had just before it. So we're no better off. And those crap spells just keep coming round more and more often as well. And they're quite a lengthy period of time. And although we're on an unbeaten run for 6 games, we know that that's a false sort of dawn, because the way we're playing is dreadful, absolutely dreadful. And we are lucky to be unbeaten in the last, 6? 6 now, 5 or 6, yeah. We're lucky.
We nicked a point at Brighton, didn't we? We scored a last-minute goal against Palace. If we'd have dropped those 2 points, where would we be? Just outside the bottom 6.
Well, and let's be honest with you as well. Again, I repeat myself from yesterday. Apologies, but I was pissed off with the second half of the Tottenham game as well, because we lost that half after such a wonderful first half. Yeah. We went on and lost the second half, and let's be honest there as well. We could have lost. We could have easily ended up 3-3, if not worse, in that second half, because they should have had a penalty.
Oh yeah.
And Harry Kane literally lobbed one. It went 2 inches wide. Ramsdale made that incredible save. Yeah, they could have easily drawn. We could have easily drawn that game or lost it in that second half. And it's just everyone was taken up with the fantastic day, and the atmosphere at the stadium was unreal. One of the best there's ever been. People have said on that night, and it's easy to get carried away with the result because we slaughtered them in the first half. But if you honestly take a step back and put yourself in the position of a neutral and watch that second half, we were lucky again. It was dreadful performance in the second half, because they changed what was wrong at half time, Tottenham, so we couldn't run through the middle of them anymore. They toughened up, and Arteta was quite lucky to get away with it in the second half. But I don't want to be a complete and utter negative Nancy, because I like Arteta. I want him to succeed, because if he does, then Arsenal are going to succeed. But you have to take it as you see it, and nothing is improving on the pitch. Nothing.
I think the age of the average age of the squad. Sorry, mate, go on.
No, carry on. No, crack on.
Okay, I was just going to say. I was
just going to say you can't afford to play in phases, can you? In this league, you can't afford to play in phases.
No,
you've got to play the 90 minutes. Look at United last night. They didn't play just in the first half, did they? I mean, they played to the 95th minute, whatever it takes. to get a result. But that's not in our game at the moment. We seem to get in front, play really well, stop playing, and then only when it's we're backs against the wall do we get going again. And you can't play a game like that. I don't believe you can anyway. You've got to play start to finish. Complete performance.
Yeah. Go
on, Keith.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think the average age of the squad and the age of the signings that we made in the summer almost buys Mikel Arteta more time, because I think we're all the same. We all want to see him succeed, and we want to see improvements. And I think the fact that I think we're the youngest squad average age in the Premier League, these things will take time to gel, and you're going to expect inconsistency from the younger players. That was just my thought. I think it will probably buy him a little bit more time than it would normally have done.
Yeah, probably.
Results are the king, and if we start ending up getting empty stadiums, they'll be forced to react, like sort of happened with Emery. It's not going to be down to protests and stuff like that. If we don't get any better results and we lose against Villa, lose against Leicester, and the fans start leaving the stadium or not even turning up over the next 3, 4, 5 weeks in the run up to Christmas, that will be the catalyst for him going. That will be it. But people, they don't want to see empty stands. They will not want to see empty stands, and that will be the catalyst. Nothing else.
It was a catalyst for him. It was sort of a catalyst for Wenger for stepping down when he did. That seems to be the only way that boards sort of wake up and see things and go, okay, they hit the panic button. And under Unai Emery, I said it once, I say it again. They left it too late. Literally a month and a half late than what they should have done. After the Leicester game, we lost 2-0 at their place. That was a night they should have cut their losses of Emery and just gone, because I think, as Andrew said last night, it was an international break as well, and you would have given a new person a bit of time to get in and get settled with the squad and all that. And we had to vote because of that. We had to vote for a season, and we did. And then again, last season, Mikel Arteta's first season, from because of the November, December, the month and a half of not winning a single game in the league, we had to vote for another season, and we've got in the end. This time, it seems like we're going down that route again. We're going to get to a point before Christmas. We're going to be like, okay, well, top four of European football's out of the equation, really. Going to write off again. And the thing is, he's got no excuses here. If anything, he has an advantage, Arteta, this year compared to his rivals in the sense of he has more time on the training pitch for these players, week to week because of the league. He's got no European football whatsoever. He's got all the time in the world, unless there's a cup game. Then obviously like League Cup or FA Cup later on down the line. He's got literally a week to week basis where he's got 6 days straight with the team. One day off when they warm down or whatever. But again, we're not seeing that. I don't know. We're not seeing any improvement. And when we're hearing him on Monday say, "I didn't intend to do this," and you look at that squad: the Ramsdale, Tomiyasu, Benjamin White, Sambi Lokonga came on. I'm naming some of the new players we just brought in. And they played a part in what happened. I'm concerned that they've only just walked through the door, and if they're not listening to him, along with the ones that have already been here long enough, that's concerning as well. And I don't know what's.
Yeah, well, what did James say yesterday on the show? He said that 11 of the 13 players that were involved yesterday in the match against Crystal Palace were either signed or renewed by Arteta. 11 of the 13. So that is his team. That is his team. A lot of them are new, and like you just said, if they're not listening to his instructions on the pitch after 8 games, there's just serious issues going on there. That is worrying, really worrying.
The thing is, I can't see anything changing tomorrow night. Really,
no.
Nothing's going to change, is it? Really, you're going to have the same players playing the same system, playing at home. We might get an early goal, and then what we're going to do? Sit back again, aren't we? I can't see it being any different. To be fair.
They
hopefully I'll be surprised, but
hopefully, that's your word.
Hopefully, yeah.
I can't. I mean, Villa are the sort of team that play the sort of football that I actually really quite like, because they can be incessant with their attacks when they want to be. If they get the chance, they will go for it, and they continuously attack. Now, I haven't seen enough of them this season, actually, to be honest with you, since Grealish has left them. So I've seen maybe one game, I think. So I don't know, because I know they've been having a slightly rough start to the season. They looked. I did actually watch the game they played against Wolves recently, last week, I think it was, where they lost the 2-goal lead within the last 12 minutes or something ridiculous. Up until that point, they've been magnificent, to be honest with you. They played some lovely stuff. So I'm really worried about it. If we play the same way as we did against Brighton and Crystal Palace, I could see them hammering us. I could, and I said this yesterday, and I wasn't even joking or being sarcastic. If we play the same way as we did in those last 2 games, they could take like a 3-0 lead at half time. They're that sort of team at Villa. Do you remember? Basically, we've lost the last 3. And do you remember the one? Who was in charge when they scored in the first minute? McGinn scored in the first minute, and it was ruled out. Was it Unai Emery at that point, or was it Arteta? I can't remember. It was. I'm sure it was Arteta.
When we won 3-2, when they came back up, it was under
yes,
Unai Emery.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, Unai.
It was Unai, yeah. Because ever since then, I mean, they've been quite a scary team to play against, because, like I said, they have incessant pressure over a sustained period of time, and they would always go for you. Like, what did again, another plug for you, James? What did you call McGinn yesterday? Like a little terrier. He really is. He's constantly on the run, snapping at your heels, isn't he? Which won't let you settle at all. He's constantly pressing you non-stop throughout the game. But I'm really worried, and I was quite tempted to say we need to go back to that period of solidity after Arteta took over, when we had the good cup run and everything, and revert back to the back 3. It's the only time we looked quite consistent for a sustained period of time. And I think because they play like a 3-5-2 type of formation, I think we should try and match them up, and so we don't lose that midfield battle, because that's going to be a worrying time against them with our midfield the way it's playing at the moment. Their midfield, it runs like clockwork.
With the personnel we've got as well, I would towards 3 at the back. I know.
I'll bring in El Neni back in as well. I'll bring in El Neni back in.
I'd play him with Partey, to be honest. Let Partey go on. And just, El Neni, he's not a great footballer, but he loves the club. And, let him win the ball and pass it sideways. That's his game. I think when you look at the money we spent in the summer as well, obviously Benjamin White was the most expensive signing, and he comes from a back 3. Everyone realises he's not the most combative defender. He's not the best in the tackle. He's not the best in the air, but he's very good at interceptions, and he's good at bringing the ball out. So I'm just thinking you'll see more from him playing in the back 3. And I can't remember who mentioned it a little while ago. You need to just play to the strengths of your players. I know, you might have this footballing philosophy that you want to employ, but if the players aren't doing that, and they can't wrap their heads around whatever it is you want, you've just got to play to their strengths. You look at the players you've got, what are they good at, and you sort your formation and your philosophy out from that. That's what everyone else does.
Exactly. You get your best players.
At the back.
Personally, I would drop Tierney back in there, and I would stick Tavares up on the left wing back, cause some havoc.
Right.
Use his pace to run at them, rather than dropping Tomiyasu into the back 3. I'll drop Tierney into the back 3 and give him that role, because he hasn't been setting the world alight either this year. I've been really worried about Tierney. His form has dropped really badly this year.
He's gone backwards, hasn't he?
He's probably pissed off he didn't get the armband. I know I would be if I was him.
Yeah, I've been saying that since we signed him, to be honest.
Well, yeah, me too. I've been saying that since he kicked the ball for Arsenal. But I'll definitely do that. I know that El Nini is going to be the really unpopular pick, but he can close down. You know, I don't care what he does with regards to his passing and everything. He just needs to block their passing lanes and just get into the tackles and break their play up alongside Partey, because Partey isn't capable of doing that for 90 minutes. We've seen that. And he'll just give that midfield there. He's happy to. He'll do whatever he's told. You know, El Nini. He's not got any airs or graces. If you tell him, right, just sit in front of the back four and you go after every ball. You tackle every ball. You press and try and harry and stop their players playing. He can do that, and that might free up Partey just a little bit more to occasionally break forward like he's supposed to, and it will just give the midfield a bit more strength. I would personally do that. I don't care. I mean, James made a really good point saying, you know, if we play a back five against Villa at home, he'll get hounded straight away. You can dress it up though, as you know, James. You can dress it up as a 3-4-3. If the crowd will believe you when you say that, and it'll sound a lot more attacking. But in reality, it'll be a back five with wing backs, the two in the middle, making it look like a 3-4-3. And you go from there. But that's exactly what I would do, definitely, to stop their midfield playing, because their midfield, if we played, like I said, they will rip us apart if they played the way we did against Brighton and Crystal Palace. No question.
Yeah.
It's up. Their midfield is up another level than to the Palace midfield. And the Palace midfield and the Brighton midfield bossed down midfields. They both won the midfield battle. But I'll tell you what, Villa's midfield is a step up again. So we need to be really careful.
Also, yeah, but there's rumours obviously Saka might be out for tomorrow because obviously his leg being used as a football Monday and all that jazz. Yeah, so he hasn't got training since apparently, so that's not looking good. But yeah, I'll go over that as well. And I see something in the chat. We've seen that in Partey last season at Old Trafford and think in glimpses work. Just go with it. They both know how to play. They clearly know to have a good partnership somewhat there. And we do need it with El Neni, even though it's sideways, we will have the ball. Very rarely he gives it away. And if he does, we've got the midfield to chase it down and leave Odegaard in fast forward where he should be. And hopefully we'll see a bit more better from him. But I don't know. It's like second guessing the loyalty numbers of Arteta. The only thing that's sort of cemented with Arteta at the moment is the back five, the goalkeeper and the back. Well, it's like normally back four. We know what the defence is now. We know who our goalkeeper is. With injuries or whatever, we don't know we haven't seen consistently our first choice midfield and the first choice striking, attacking side of things. Talking of strikers, though, there's been massive calls since Monday night that Lacazette should be starting ahead of Aubameyang, and I'm all for it because Aubameyang, even though he's club captain, he scored on Monday, but he ain't putting up trees. He scores and he disappears again. He did it against Tottenham. He scored and he disappeared. And again, we're not.
Well, he won't drop him, will he? Though he won't drop Uber. He'll play him on the left, won't he? He'll put Lacazette up front and put Uber on the left. So he won't drop him as such.
It's a bit harsh as well. I think it's a bit harsh about especially the Spurs game. I think he worked his socks off in that one. I watched that a couple of times, but I know exactly what you mean. He doesn't offer as much. He doesn't get the crowd going as much. He doesn't link up play as much, and he doesn't get his teammates up as much, to be honest, either, because the way he works, it does uplift the players around him. I'd love to see it, but I can't see him being dropped at all. And like I say, he did score at the weekend, whatever we think, and they both did, to be fair to them. But I think, you know, as someone said yesterday on the show, and I don't know who it was, maybe it was James again, giving him a good shout out today. Maybe he plays better when he comes on as a sub, Lacazette, than Aubameyang does. So maybe bring him on with a half hour to go again. I don't know.
But also, there's games where he started, obviously, with the Boxing Day last year. He started with the Saka, Martinelli, Smith Rowe combination, and it worked. And he came out and said afterwards, a few weeks later, I'm loving it. I'm actually loving it because the way that Smith Rowe, Saka, and Martinelli at the time they're playing, their attitude, he thrives off it. It works for him. It benefits him and his game as well. And it gels together, and we saw the benefits of it. And then obviously Martinelli got injured and went back to pot. And there's another one, Martinelli. I mean, he comes on Monday. He sort of lit up the place as well. And he was trying his hardest to get us back in the game as well. I mean, again, injuries aside, what else has he got to do to get back in this team and for Arteta to give him a genuine chance and not play him out of position as well? Because we're hearing them, we're seeing videos of them doing from back in March, individual training with him, but as a striker. And that's back in March. We're now in October and into November. Give him a chance. I know we've got leads in the cup and things like that, but in these Monday, give him a chance there.
Well, if Saka's going to be out, then default position would be Pepe, wouldn't it? Or why not play Martinelli instead of Pepe for a change? Just mix it up.
Yeah.
The thing is, though,
not going to play, then you don't.
He's almost certain
have to go to Pepe, do you?
He's almost certain to play against Leeds, though, isn't he? In the cup. Lacazette and that's on Tuesday. Lacazette and Martinelli are almost certain starters for that game, so maybe they won't start tomorrow. That's the only thing I'm thinking.
Potentially.
True, but then there's 3 days between the 2 games, isn't there? Surely they're capable. They haven't played that much, so surely they're capable of playing 2 games back to back.
Of course, but that's not how football works, is it? I think they could play in every game. Personally, that's what they used to do back in the day. I totally agree, but that's not football nowadays, is it? They don't normally do it that way, do they?
They don't.
Yeah.
But the
he'll have his team.
Important game, isn't it?
Yeah, of course.
But the next important game.
He'll have his team already sorted for the Leeds match. I bet you he's already told them in the training. Yeah, you're going to be starting against Leeds. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
It's but we'll have to wait and see. I am really worried about it until that team sheet gets handed out before the game tomorrow. I'm going to be bricking it, to be honest, because I can't see anything other than a loss against Villa and Leicester. I really can't. I'm not normally like that. I'm not. I'm really Mr. Positive. But I'm really worried about the next 2 games.
Well, it's even worse for you because you live up there, in that area.
It's dreadful for me. It's worse than the Tottenham game for losing because of my kids. My poor kids get the piss ripped out of them at school because they're all Villa fans at school. There's a few Birmingham City fans, but at the school they go to, but most of them are Villa. They're the only Arsenal fans, and they're all their cousins. They've got a few cousins that go to the school, and all their groups of mates are all Villa, and they just rip the piss out of my kids all the way through the game. Every goal that goes in, they get text messages. They have to turn their phone off, and I feel so sorry for them. So I hate playing, and we've lost the last 3. And it's getting really bad at the moment because they are saying that they're the better team. Arsenal are on the way down. They're on the way up. And I'm running out of excuses that that's not happening at the moment. So it's dreadful for me, the Villa game up here. Worse than the Leicester one.
Someone mentioned it earlier on in the chat here, in the live chat, basically. Imagine if Villa win tomorrow, what Martinez is going to be like in the aftermath of it all. He constantly talks about us 24/7. This has just ramped it up for him.
I know. How up for it will he be? He will not let a goal in tomorrow. He will be up. I'm not saying he won't let a goal in, but he will not want to let a single goal in, will he? He'd be so motivated.
He'll certainly be very focused. I feel your pain, Andrew. I'm not a million miles away from Hinckley myself, and the village where I live, I'm the only gooner in the village, and most everyone else has a few Spurs, a few Man United, and there's one Aston Villa. And where I normally go to watch it is our local cricket club. Now
that'd be a good Little Britain character, that would, wouldn't it? The only gooner in the village.
Yeah, and there's one Villa fan, and he gets really right on it, and especially because they've had the sign over us in the last few games. But this rivalry that I think Villa fans have kind of invented this rivalry. But I think a lot of it comes from Emi Martinez to start with. Then there's the Buendia thing, which we may or may not have gone in from. I don't know.
Sorry, Vitesse have just scored against Tottenham.
Get in there. Come on.
Excellent.
Positives.
Yeah.
There is a God.
I want to see Martinez actually blame us for something like putting 3 goals past him tomorrow night.
They looked at me funny.
He's going to be focused as hell tomorrow night. We all know.
I hope to God that we get surprised, all of us, and we just play really well tomorrow. But one thing I can't get out of my head is where have we done it? Yeah, but how often have we done it? How often have we done it over the last 2 years?
But what I'm saying is, they're obviously capable of doing it because they've shown it in glimpses. They're capable of doing it, but they just can't do it over for the length of the game.
No.
Some of our attacking play is brilliant, but they just don't do it often enough.
Is it fitness or is it confidence or what? Because
it's like maybe fitness.
Really struggle to come back when we go behind. And I remember Arteta's first game, I'm fairly certain, was against Chelsea. And we pressed them so hard for the first half, and we were winning. And then you could see the legs went out of the team. Now, I thought maybe that's just because you've got different training methods. Maybe Unai Emery's methods weren't as physical as Arteta. So I thought, all right, you've got to give it time. You've got to think that these players are going to get fitter and stronger. But we still seem to do the same thing. Is it that they're tired or do they lack? I can't wrap my head around it, to be honest.
By now,
if you want another excuse, which first game after international breaks are never great, are they? So you could use that one as well, I suppose, couldn't you? So,
we've
but
yeah, fair point actually.
No, James was saying in the chat for this season alone, 35 minutes out of 720 minutes we've shown it. That's it. But going back to what Keith was saying, I think it's 22 months into Arteta's reign now. It's got to be more of a confidence thing. Maybe they just don't, like we've heard Lacazette back last summer, and we're hearing now. Maybe they just don't believe in what he's got, what his tactics, and they're just down in tools after X amount of like 10, 15 minutes.
I think he just tries to make things too complicated, and people probably think some kind of really old-fashioned dinosaur when it comes to something. But I've said this loads of times, haven't I? I like my defenders to defend. I like my midfielders to pass it forward. I like my defenders to get the ball to the midfield, and the midfielders to get the ball to defend. It's not a complicated game, football, but I think he overcomplicates it by trying to give all these players a different role, 2 different roles to do in the team, maybe 3 different roles to do in the team. Oh, you in midfield there, the Congo, you've got to drop back into left back when he does this, and you've got to do that. And I think it's just too overcomplicated, because football doesn't need to be that complicated when you've got really good players on the pitch, especially. Your fullbacks, they just do their fullback. They go up and down, they go up and down. They don't have to. Why overcomplicate it in so many ways? You're trying to out-coach your rival coach because you're playing a game of chess. Oh, I'm going to do it like this way because you won't be expecting that, and blah blah. Just let your best players play and let them go and express themselves, and you will get better results. I'm certain of that. Absolutely certain of that.
Game.
Yes, yeah. Force your game onto your opponents and stop trying to out-coach your opponent and stop them playing. And focus everything you've got on stopping the other team playing. Just put and I know this sounds like quite a Wenger type of thing to do, but in lots of cases it works, doesn't it? We've had some great matches. Every now and then, a good coach we'd come up against and he'd rip us to shreds and we'd lose 4-0. But full well the next match we'll go and batter some other team 4 or 5-0 and have a fantastic game to watch and play a brilliant, beautiful attacking football. And I would take that any day of the week at the moment over this dross we're being served up.
Yeah.
So just put your best players out on the pitch in the right players, in the right positions.
I still want to see 2 strikers.
How many times do you see players that? How many times do you see players that are going to come on being substitute, and the first thing they're doing is going through a flip chart? Showing them various pointers they discussed in training, and
do you know what?
These sorts of, you stand here, if this goes there, you stand there, and if this goes over there, you go here, and all they want to do is play football, for God's sake. Just let them play football.
What? That's a brilliant point, Steve. Absolutely brilliant point. That's exactly hitting the nail on the head. or if you're putting a player onto the pitch, all you need to do is say, right, you're going left midfield, you're going left wing, you're going central midfield. Just do your best, son. Pat him on the back.
Yeah.
Why go through all that? Yeah. That's a perfect example, mate. That is really good because they don't need all that crap. And let's face it, most of these kids dropped out of school and they've got their education in the academy. They're probably not the brightest buttons out there as well. They love football. They're brilliant at football, but they may not be able to withdraw to intake all that information, and it just confuses them. And I'm not being horrible when I say that.
Sort of, is a natural skill, isn't it? You react to the situation. If you're in the back of your mind thinking, "Oh well, I shouldn't be here now. I should be over here," your natural flair just goes out the window, surely.
Yeah, of course it does. And you're worried about what the manager's thinking about you when he's watching you. And not only that, actually, nowadays, another factor that they throw in is the stats. They're the stat padding so often as well, these players, because they're worried about, oh, I don't want to misplace that pass, so I'll make an easier one. They're genuinely thinking about it. I've actually heard footballers talking about that on interviews. They actually do think about things like that now because they want to look good when people look at the stats.
Yeah.
That's another thing they're going through their head to stop them being playing natural football.
I think it comes into the realms of micromanaging as well. There was one point in the Palace game, I think ESR had the ball, and he was looking like he was going to go forward with it, and you could see Arteta's like pointing, telling him to pass the ball back. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I've been micromanaged before. I don't enjoy it. You know, as you said, Andrew, when they're going on, just tell them what position they're going. If somebody else has got a switch with them, say, right, you're going there, I'm going here, and that's all they need to know. It's almost like with the, where they're doing the flip chart and everything before they're going on. Did anyone watch the Amazon documentary on Man City? And there was a bit with Pep Guardiola when he's got the whiteboard with all the pins, and you can see how fast his brain's working. But he's doing that like after a training session. So they don't need to be seeing all this stuff. They're going to be nervous before they go, and anyway, before they get the first touch and get their legs going, get their second wind, because everyone else is already up to speed. They ain't got their second wind yet, so they're thinking about that. They're thinking about everything else because they've been sat on that bench for an hour thinking about how are they going to impact this game, and then they get on. They just need to be left to play. Don't be told every time you've got the ball, you got to pass it there, otherwise you're going to get bollocking. Because no one likes that, surely. I wouldn't.
No, absolutely not. Do you know what, Steve? That's such a good point.
I mean, how many players I've seen players run onto the pitch with a bloody bit of paper with a list of instructions on it.
Yeah, as well.
Telling the captain, "No, you need to be doing this now, and I need to be," and it's just great. I just don't get it. But that's where the game has gone. It's gone all in the classroom, isn't it? It's all done on. They all play FIFA and think, well, we do this will happen.
So that's where Wenger I get praise to Wenger because, like you said, he just literally, if something went right, he'd bring the player on, but he wouldn't do this like you got to go here, there, and everywhere. You just this is where you're playing. Sort it out between you, but play with freedom. Express yourself, but give the opposition hell. And 9 times out of 10, they did. The likes of Abu at Real Madrid, when he first came through the squad in the 05-06 season, the first leg against in the Champions League. Daunting at the Bernabeu, and Wenger just said, "Don't worry." Put an arm around him and said, "Just play to your strengths. Show your best. Express yourself. Do nothing else. Don't overcomplicate it." Whereas Arteta seems to be, as we're saying now, he's micromanaging. He's overcomplicating it to the point where the players are overthinking things, and it's nullifying their natural gifts, their natural skills that they can offer to the team. And going forward, we're seeing nothing because of that.
Exactly.
The only thing he's improved in the last 22 months, that's our praise him, was it's defensively. We've got better. We've discussed it before, Steve and Andrew and all that.
Yeah, agree with that.
Unlike Richard, we do agree with that. We do say that has improved. But at the same time, if it's like he's sacrificing that whole team to defend, but he's sacrificing our attack. And with that, we're not getting goals. And with that, you don't get points. And with that, you don't get higher up the league. You don't progress. And that's I thought that's the whole point of this, progressing and getting back to where we once were. That's what we're told anyway. And as I said last night, and I think it was Andrew told me last night, I said I'm sick to death now of having to write seasons off now. I don't want to. I want to actually be excited for a season, go into it, enjoy every game, believe my team can go and win home or away against anyone. Man City's and Newcastle's in a couple of years' time, Chelsea's, etc. Not come 6, 7, 8 games, need 10 games in, go, oh, the season's done now. When's next season?
I know. That's why I desperately. I know people don't give a monkeys, but I really want to win on Tuesday as well against Leeds because I want to win that cup. I really do this year.
Yeah, I've won that since I was a kid. I was like
exactly.
3 or 4.
Yeah, I know, and it's another route into Europe for a start. I know it's the Europa Conference, but we're not guaranteed that because we didn't make that last year either. So at least that's one thing done, and it's a cup. And it's early in the season, and it hopefully could set the tone for the rest of the season as well. But I really want to win that on Tuesday, and I'm probably looking more forward to that game than the one tomorrow because we have to see. But that'll be a good game. But I do agree, and I really think that is what the crux of the matter is. That he is overthinking things, micromanaging, trying to be the next Pep, when all he really needs to do is be a really good motivator of players. If you can motivate that group of players to the best, and get them onto the pitch so that they will run through a brick wall for you, that's what he needs. He doesn't need this chessboard. And, you go here when he goes there and you go there. And that, I can guarantee you that's the sort of thing he's doing. And it's just making the game so complicated and boring for a start. But the players, we haven't got the players that Pep has. And Pep's had them for what? 4 or 5, well, how long has he been there now? 5 years or something? So he's had that theory going for 5 years now. They know it within an inch of their lives, and they've been there. He doesn't have a big churn of players, really. The core of the players stay there for a long time with him, so they know exactly what they're doing back to front. We can't do that. So bloody just work, with the players that you've got. And when you've paid so much money in Pepe, and players like that, and Thomas Partey, and you get them on the pitch and you let them do what they do naturally. Don't mess with them. Why would you do that? Why would you buy them in the first place if they're not the finished article? If they're not what you want, go buy another player that's more like the type that you want.
Yeah.
But if you buy someone with great flair, or I love watching like Pepe, just let him do what he does best, for crying out loud. Don't try and change him into something he's not. And let Partey be the box-to-box player that he loves being. I'm sorry, I'm a bit of a rant now, but it does annoy me. It really does. It gets my goat.
There's sort of another thing I mentioned it to you on your channel last night. We've all seen the trailer now for the Wenger documentary that's coming out, and there's a clip of Vieira says, when you've got a manager that backs you to the hill and has your back no matter what, you love that as a player, and as a team, you get behind that. You play for him. You run through brick walls with him no matter what. Pep, we've seen last season. There's times where he's publicly thrown players under the bus. Pepe threw him got red carded, threw him under the bus publicly, line one air. Week later, defends Granit for getting his red carded. Willian in a pandemic broke not just club protocol but government protocol, and he got rewarded for it. So he talks about non-negotiables as well. It's like, well, you can't have it like your cake and not eat it. You've got to literally just go, well, you can't have one rule for one and not for the other. You literally got to punish them all and go, oh, hang on, this is what it is. You broke the rule. You've let me down. But we're not, instead of going public about it, have it in-house.
Yeah.
Keep everything in-house. Then if you get more respect from your players then, and they'll be okay, I respect you because you come to me privately. We've dealt with it here and then. Not done it in the public eye for everyone, the whole world to discuss.
Going back to what we were saying earlier about where he's publicly said the players aren't following my game plan, there's on so many levels that don't work for me. It's like, firstly, it makes him look weak, and I would imagine the media would lap that up. Whether they do or not, I don't know. But also, like you just said, some things need to be done in-house. And if I was one of the players and he was calling me and my mates out in front of the world's media for not doing my job properly, that's not going to motivate me. No. Fair enough. Go back into the dressing room and, give it to them throw teacups and stuff around and say, look, you know, you cannot keep doing this. But don't say it to the cameras. Just think of anything else that comes to your mind. You know, they were the better side, back from international duty, anything. But you shouldn't be standing there in front of the microphones and the cameras doing that, I don't think.
No. What did he say about Aubameyang as well? When he was asked a straight question, is he on the decline? He said, I don't know. He said, I don't know. You star striker. And he said to a journalist, is he on the decline? Well, I don't know. I mean, what the fuck's that all about? You say no. You say, no, I love my striker. He's on top form. He's going to score for me every single week. Why would you say I don't know?
Yeah, exactly. And also today, he was asked about Lacazette.
If that's the case.
He was asked today about Lacazette because obviously he's into the last of his contract. Is he going to sign a new deal? Are you concerned he's not signing? He's like, if he goes, he goes, basically. If you read between the lines of what he said, he doesn't care if he stays or goes. And that's not helping him because he's, again, putting out to the world's media. And if you, as I said, you read between the lines, and the players are reading between the lines, what we're doing. They're thinking, well, why the fuck am I? If you don't care if I'm here or not, why the fuck should I actually bother paying for you? Why should I give my all and risk injuries? A couple of months' time, I can sign for a club for nothing like that.
I think the difference is now is it's almost like they're deflecting blame, aren't they? Arteta's getting into the habit now of it's not my fault. You know, the players aren't doing what I tell them to do. This player, that player. I mean, back in the day, Wenger, it was always his fault, wasn't it? If it didn't work, it's my fault. I'll sort it. You know, he wouldn't pull out a player. He might do it in the changing room, but he would never publicly slate a player, no matter what they did. Whereas now the trend seems to be a little bit, well, it's not my fault. You know, this player didn't do this or this player didn't do that. That's wrong.
Tottenham have lost, by the way.
Good.
Gutted. Sorry.
I
think that's just the way it's changed. And Arteta now is getting into this rhetoric of it's not my fault.
Yeah.
Maybe it's naivety. Can we say it might be? I mean, I personally don't think it is.
Possibly,
he's been managed himself, so he should have seen how to do it. But like I say, I mean, I don't want to turn it into just a massive Arteta bashing session. But I mean, personally, I think the job came too soon for him. He will be a good manager, but maybe just not for us. You know, going back to what you was asking me right at the start, Ryan, like thoughts on the Cronkies. I've always thought he got the job because he was the cheaper option, and for somebody who's just had a couple of years' experience as an assistant to come and manage a club the size of Arsenal, that's a hell of an undertaking. And he applied when Emery got the job, didn't he? I think he was in the shortlist. You know, maybe things like this. Maybe it's naivety and he's making mistakes on the job, but he needs to start learning from those.
He needs to do that at a lower league club, if that's the case, though, doesn't he?
Yeah, you need to be doing what Vieira's done. Go elsewhere first, learn your trade, and build yourself to a Premier League club.
Yeah,
and then earn your way to be a big. And that's how David Moyes got his job at Man United, even though he did it last night. That's because he did his job at Preston. He went to Everton. He did 11 years at Everton in the Premier League, and he was basically handpicked by Sir Alex Ferguson to replace him.
Yeah, must be such a difficult job. I mean, we're sat here like saying what we would and wouldn't do, but
it's got to be. Yeah, not saying it's easy at all.
Multifaceted. I mean, you know, you've got the football side of things, you've got the media side of things, then you've got, I can't even imagine what the egos must be like in the dressing room. But you know, it's a huge undertaking, and I'm waffling on and going back to what I was saying earlier. I hope he sorts it out, but it's just I'm not entirely optimistic at the moment. I'm always optimistic for a game, and up until I get nervous when the team sheet comes out, because as Andrew was saying earlier, it is quite clever in that he's got all these players that play different roles, and we don't know what lineup he's going to go with, so presumably the opposition don't. But then the flip side is our players get confused by that, and they're like, I don't actually know what role I'm playing tonight. You know, is it that? We're simple folk. We like football. It's very, very simple. It should be. Footballers are not renowned for being, you know, the sharpest tools.
No.
They're quite simple folk, and they just want it simple.
You want to be a left back. You want to be your centre back. I'm a midfielder. Right, I'm a left winger. I'm a right winger. I'm a centre forward. That you want that, you know your role, don't you? You don't want to see, I'm a hybrid. I do this on the pitch and that, and I go around here as well on occasions. I'm here to confuse you. You just want to play your role. You want to be a left back, you want to be a right back or goalkeeper, and that's it. You don't want any confusing. And what you need to do is buy some good players to fill those roles and let them do their job. Because if you buy the right players and good players, it doesn't matter if you're confusing the opponents. If your players can play better than theirs, they'll score more goals than theirs, and you'll win the match. That's how easy it is sometimes. And yes, you'll get outsmarted and you'll lose the odd game, but that's football. But if you that's why we all love it, because you do get those results every now and then. You will get knocked out the FA Cup by a League Two side because that's how it works. But if you play your best players every week in their best positions, you're going to win the game more often than not. If you've got better players than the opposition, or if you're coaching them better than the opposition, it shouldn't be any more difficult than that.
There's a saying, isn't it? There's a saying, just keep it simple. Put your best players in the best positions and let them play. That's it.
And he's got a lot of coaching time.
It doesn't have to be complicated. And let the other team worry about us, not us worry about the other team, so to speak. And just let them play.
That's the football I love.
He's got a lot more coaching time this season than anyone else has.
Yeah.
So you can't even use that as an excuse. He's literally got, normally we haven't got it this week, but he's had sometimes over a week to coach the players for whatever the game plan.
Yeah. Is that the reason? Is that another reason? Is that a bad thing though, mate?
Could be.
Considering what we're talking about.
Yeah, could well be.
That might be a bad thing.
Yeah.
When you go back far enough, people didn't do coaching badges, did they? They just got a job as a manager and managed the players and had an idea how to play the game. They got the players they wanted and off they went. There wasn't all this, 3 years training to be a manager.
Yeah, it's just to wrap things up. It just seems from the club perspective, from like the board, like people upstairs, and all, they see Arteta as like the modern day, in their eyes, the modern day George Graham. That he's going to be the one that brings in the next generation of players. He's going to take us forward. This, that, and the other. When George Graham came in, he was the next Arsenal man and all that. He'd achieved things in his playing career at Arsenal, but he'd been a manager at Millwall previously. And when he did come in, he had a board that knew what they were doing and that would back him properly. And straight from the off, he ruled with an iron fist. He went in straight from day one and said, "Guys, this is where I'm going with things. We're going to give you 8 weeks. If in between the 8 weeks or the end of it, you're not happy, come to, we'll get you out." And then within the space of a couple of years, we're winning the league title at Anfield in '89. A couple of years later, winning the league again. The League Cup and FA Cup double, the European Cup Winners' Cup. But amongst all that, not only did we mentioned he did invest in the youth squad, he did buy these young, hungry players from other clubs, other league clubs, and all that. But he got the balance right between the youth and the experience. He got the perfect balance. He knew what he needed because he'd been there as a player. Whereas Arteta, with all due respect, had never been there to that level in terms of winning league titles and things like that as a player with the respective clubs or whatever. And I don't know, it seems like, he had 2 years. He had 2 years with Pep. He started doing his coaching badges under Wenger the last couple of years before he retired, sorry. And it's like Arsenal, because Keith mentioned before, he was on the short list. I think he was like second from literally being named the first time round. It's like, because he didn't work with Emery, he's got to work with Arteta. No matter what, we've got to back him. Because you listen to what Edu says as well, the way he came out defending him starkly and attacked the fans last year and saying we know nothing about football, we need to get behind the manager. And then the start of this season again, he hasn't got his full fit squad. Judge when he's got his fully fit squad. Well, no, with all due respect, in the modern day football, no one really has a full fit squad long enough for a whole season. So we've got to judge it when he does. And even then, the squad at the moment is not good enough. But at the same time, he's kept players that have let him down constantly. The Granit Xhakas of this world, etc. Kolasinac just did it for some bizarre reason. And Leno and up till Ramsdale, he was giving Leno chance after chance after chance. And and like we said before, he's doing other things that it's just not what he's doing. He's doing all these things that not helping him either, and it's just it does my head in because like we said, we all want it to work, and when he was a point again, he like you've all said, he wasn't our first choice or second or third or fourth or this, that, and the other. Could be when head coach or whatever at Arsenal. But you know what? I can't complain. At the time, you back the manager, no matter what, head coach, and let him prove you wrong. And at one point, it looked like he was going to do that because one of my things was that was sort of niggling at me was his inexperience. But at the start, it looked like that weren't going to be a problem. It's only since obviously the end of November last year onwards that things are sort of starting to crack, and I don't see a way back. It seems to get progressively worse week by week, and I actually don't know how we're getting out of this. This month, I've said in the last few days, this month's to make a break for him. In the sense, because look at the games we have. We've got Villa, Leicester, Leeds in the Cup, and then we've got Watford away. Then we go to Liverpool. Then we've got Manchester United away. That's a tough one. That's not easy.
Well, do you know that Watford game is the one I'm worried about most because not really. I know that all the rest of the terrible games. But you know why? Because remember the Unai Emery Watford game? Oh, God, that was the lowest I've ever felt as an Arsenal fan in my life.
Agreed.
After that game.
Yeah.
And I just dread to think because it's after a similar run. We played Leicester just before that as well, haven't we? Went to Leicester and lost 3-0.
2 weeks after.
Yeah, well, I knew it was around that sort of time.
Yeah.
But it just really reminds me of that sort of period of the second season, early part of the second season under Unai Emery. And with that Watford game looming on the horizon, it just makes me feel a bit physically sick because I know how I felt that game after that game before. And, oh, God, I just hope to God, some miracle can happen. And I don't know. He gets like a minor illness, Arteta, and there's nothing wrong with him. I'm not wishing him ill. But if he gets a minor ill and someone has to step in his place to manage the team in the meantime and just lets them go out and enjoy themselves, do you know what I mean? That'd be lovely, thank you. Just let someone do that. Let Per Mertesacker come in and do it or something and see what he can do. But in all seriousness, I'm worried about that game.
Thing is, if we win tomorrow, play well and win tomorrow, it all changes again, doesn't it?
Yes.
By some miracle, we play really well. We rip them apart. We score 3 or 4 goals. Until the next game. But at least it gives you that warm feeling over the weekend, which would be nice.
Yeah.
If we could score 3 goals against them, especially with no reply, mate, I would.
Love that.
You know that Melvin thing that you keep playing after a goal. Well, you'll have a whole new. You'll have something whole new, different level to play. If I was watching that. Willy Copter. But no, I'll be that shocked. And
I'll be absolutely delighted. The players are capable of doing it.
Yeah, they are. They are. But we're up against some really bad opposition tomorrow. I think they're going to be really tricky, and they're going to be so up for it. I have worries that they're going to always want it more than our bunch of players for some reason. I don't know why that is. But we're playing at home. We're going to play like the away team again, I bet you. I guarantee you we're going to play like the away team tomorrow.
I was about to say, literally, he's going to come out tomorrow. They're going to be up for going for us like they did last year. The difference is they've got a whole stadium full of fans, their fans as well. And they are going to go for it. And then we're going to, as you say, play like the away team, just sit back and soak the pressure up and try and get them on a counter. And I'm not looking forward to that because that'll stress me out even more. But all I want is us to get the result. I want us to come away with a clean sheet, 3 points, and we move on from what this last few days has been because it's not been good. And then obviously got Leeds in the Cup and then Leicester the following weekend. I think it's a Sunday, the Leicester game next week, I think. And then go to Leicester and teach them a lesson, put them back in their place, and then because they're getting a bit too cocky for their own selves. But we need to win. Winning breeds confidence. It's the old saying, but it's true.
It does. Scoring goals breeds confidence in our attackers. And I think the pressure is on more now. When you look at, for example, the first 3 games, Brentford was always going to be tricky, and personally, I wasn't expecting very much out of Chelsea or Man City. But then you look at the games we got now, you should look at Brighton, Crystal Palace, Watford, all winnable, and then you think Leicester could go either way, but we should be beating those because they're the games you need to be winning, because then you've got Man United and Liverpool. Ideally. I mean, I'm always optimistic for every single game. I honestly believe we're going to win. And then it gets 5 minutes in, then that's where it goes. But I'm always optimistic all the time. But now, I'm still optimistic, but I'm much more nervous about tomorrow's game than I normally am. And I don't
Sorry about that. That's my fault.
I think it might be.
It's just easier.
Do you know what? I don't know if you ever seen any shows that I've been in before. It's not like me at all. I am always positive.
I've seen a couple, yeah. I thought that.
Mr. Positive.
I am normally, aren't I? Everyone will back me up on that, but I'm really feeling a bit crap and low at the moment about it. And it's got to be honest, there are reasons.
I'm still going for a win tomorrow. I'm still going for a win. I'm still going to go for a win tomorrow.
Good.
I was about to go and ask you guys, what was your score predictions for tomorrow?
I'll give mine quickly because I've really, really got to go. I'm getting really grief from my kids at the moment. So I'm going to say my head says we're going to lose 2-1.
Oh God.
My heart, I'll go for a draw, 1-1. I can't see us winning. I'll be absolutely over the moon to be proven wrong. I really, really will.
Yeah. Don't tell Lee Gunner he actually wants Villa to win, Lee Gunner. So let's not gather on that one.
That's just rubbish. Of course, I want us to win.
He's a preview. He's literally got his title. He's actually rooting for Villa. Idiot. Keith, what about yourself? Your score predictions?
I honestly think it will be a draw, but my heart is telling me 3-1 to us. I don't know why. I might have a fiver on it just because I think the odds will be quite high as well. But yeah, 3-1 to us.
A couple of 100 to 1. Go, yeah.
Especially if you wait about 10 minutes, then put the bet on, you'll be fine then.
Yeah.
Don't do it pre-match. Wait 10 minutes, then put it on.
Yeah.
Steve, what about yourself?
I'm going to go for a win. I'm going to go for an optimistic 2-1. Standard.
Okay. My head tells me we'll get a draw. My heart tells me 2-1 Arsenal.
There you go.
But you never know. You never know until we see it. Instead, we can get past 15 minutes, still play good. I'll take it.
Absolutely, yeah. No one would be happier than me for me to be proven wrong. I don't take any. I'll be delighted, absolutely over the moon. I'd love us to thump them for the reasons I've given before as well. Not just for the fact that I'd love Arsenal to win. I'd love my kids to have the bragging rights at school for once.
Absolutely.
The first time in a year and a half.
So let's do it for my kids, please, Arsenal, please. Do it for the children. Think about the little children. Think about the little children.
We're going to get to send him an email. Kids to send him an email tonight. Please.
Yeah.
Arteta.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, with like 15 E's in please.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
And with that, we're going to wrap things up, guys. But so, Andrew, where can people find you about your podcast and what you got coming up? And also tell them about your podcast earlier in the week at 9 o'clock in the morning the other day.
Yes, if you haven't seen it, please go and have a look at my interview with Jerry Payton on my channel. That was a really, really good chat. He was such a good bloke. Well worth a listen. It was really interesting because, I mean, he, for a start, he joined in the summer of 2003, the same day as Jens Lehmann. And he worked with Jens, obviously, throughout the summer. And then we all know what happened that season ahead. And he gave us sort of real fascinating insight into the Invincible season, amongst other things. So yeah, go and give that a listen. It's on my channel from Dial Square to Where, and it's also available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and everything as well. If you just want to listen to it while you're walking down the street, and you can find me on Twitter @FromDial Square as well. And once again, thank you for having me on, and it's been a pleasure
Absolutely no problem.
speaking to you all. Nice to meet you, Keith, as well. And great to have you back, Greengrass.
Different location now for the winter.
Yeah, like Steve said earlier, you've kissed and made up with the other half, and she's let you back in the house now.
Yeah. I thought you'd done up your tiki bar for a minute, though, when I first saw you.
That's the stage 2 next season.
Right, I'm going to have to shoot, though, guys.
Keith,
nice to have met you, Keith. And cheers to everyone, and thanks to everyone in the chat as well. All the best. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Cheers, mate.
Yeah, Keith, what about yourself? Where can people find you and your channel?
Well, you can find me on Twitter at the Mad Rambling one. That's kind of where I spend most of my time nowadays. I was going to say I recently set up a YouTube channel, but I can't get away with that now. It's been going about 4 months, I suppose. It's slowly evolving from just like some bloke who looks like he's in a shed to I'll be going into doing live streams probably next month at some point. I've got Gunforce Edits doing me some graphics and all the stuff required for the thumbnails and all that. So once that's all in place, I'll start doing some lives, and I'll probably invite you chaps on if you'd like to come along at some point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Basically, it's a little bit different. It's not entirely Arsenal, as the title would suggest. I quite often bung some funny, just life stories in there, things that have happened to me, like teenagers walking into lampposts when they're being dickheads and things like that, which is always it amuses me massively. And there was a thing, my daughter, who keeps knocking on the conservatory door at the moment, when I first put this hairband in, she said, "You look like that football bloke." I said, "What, Jack Grealish?" And she says, "Yeah, if he was old and pregnant." It's like stories like that. I just chuck stuff in like that. So if that's something you might like to have a look at, just look for Mostly Arsenal on YouTube and you'll find me there. But just thanks for having me on. Really appreciate it. I've enjoyed it, Ryan. Thank you for that. Nice to meet you, Steve.
And you, mate.
And you know, hopefully we'll all catch up again soon. And thanks to everyone in the chat. But I also have to do what Andrew's done and skedaddle now, because it's time to do bedtime duties.
Have fun with that. See you later. Cheers again.
See you later, mate.
And Steve, what about yourself? Where can we find you?
Yeah, just on Twitter these days, Steve K 1886. So on there most days, sharing, retweeting various stuff. So yeah, hopefully we get a win. Be nice to see some positive tweets for a change.
Yeah, you know, that's why.
If we're doing a show Monday, it might be an interesting one if we win, which would be good.
Yeah, let's get the champagne out and go for it. Oh dear, but yeah. With that, guys, thanks for coming on, everyone in the chat. Thank you for giving your comments in and keep obviously interaction with each other and putting comments on the screen, this, that, and the other. We will be back. I will be back tomorrow with a few of the guys. We're going to do the watch along for the game tomorrow. Then Saturday we're going to do the match of the day stuff on the 10:25 in the evening. Do the watch along for that. Then obviously, as Steve says, we're going to do the podcast on Monday in reaction to obviously what happens tomorrow night. And then on Tuesday, obviously Tuesday or Wednesday when we're playing Leeds, we've got to do the watch along for that as well. And a few other bits throughout the week as well. But until then, guys, enjoy the rest of your evening. I've got to be somewhere else quickly, so I've got to wrap up. And as always, up the Arsenal. Come on, you Gunners.
Cheers, guys. Take care.